Hello everybody, welcome back to the Tavern. I hope everyone is doing awesome today. I'm Flusher with Cambion Gaming, and my co-host is Martyr. We got another load of Diablo 3 related topics for you today. As always, this is how it works. I will make these statements, and these allegations that I make are for Martyr to call true or false on. He does so by hitting 1 and 2 buzzers, yes, and as always, he doesn't know what the topics are until I read to him in real time. I want to preface this by saying I don't necessarily agree with these topics or statements. They just reflect some of the hot topics and differences that are being presented by the community. With all that being said, we ready to do this? Let's go! For the first one today, we have, now that the developers have announced that D3 requires a constant internet connection, the sales will not be as high as it could be, bringing it to mind the large portion of the D2 community played offline, and some people can't always be online, for example, people in the military.
I would say false, because, you see all these people arguing about the whole online connection required, and they try and, have these arguments like, oh, what if I'm on a plane, or I don't get reception in a train tunnel? How many people live in a train tunnel? Seriously, that's a pretty bad argument. If you're thinking about being required to connect to the internet, then you should probably get new internet.
Oh wow, that's hilarious. I don't think this one is true. I think the initial sales may suffer maybe just a small amount. I feel like as though at the end of the day, these people love Diablo just as much as we do, and I think over time these people will gravitate to purchasing the game, and I think it's more fun to play online with friends anyways and enjoy the community.
Definitely. You can play offline, or single player just fine by yourself and get through it, but you're eventually going to need help, especially in game modes like Inferno and all that.
Yeah, I definitely feel sorry for the people in the military and stuff. I get where they're coming from, and I think Blizzard does as well. The reasons why they did it, they're certainly valid. I think they just want to do their best to eliminate all forms of cheating that could be out there.
Definitely, it's definitely going to help against that, because everything's going to be server-side, and it's going to be actually a lot easier on your system if servers handling a lot of it too.
Yeah, defending Blizzard, I feel like it has to be done, kind of to protect the integrity of the game.
Right, no matter what you do, someone's going to be mad.
Yeah, exactly. This is the next one, being that Diablo 3 has been in development for such a long time, and it's been so highly anticipated, we will see some never before seen items in a collector's edition, as opposed to previous Blizzard collector's editions, we have known to become that are pretty standard.
I'm assuming it'll follow something along the same lines as the previous collector's edition, but I'm going to assume that there's always going to be something in there that's, special to this game and this franchise, and just be collector's edition only that people are going to hold on to and value for a long time in the future.
I feel like there would be one really cool like you said, really cool Diablo related item, but I think the rest is gonna be pretty standard, with the art book and what is it, the behind the scenes DVD,
soundtrack and all that. Yeah.
I actually have you seen any of those behind the scenes DVDs? I haven't really had a chance to check them out.
I haven't seen any by Blizzard. I've seen some from other companies, and they're pretty interesting.
It'll be interesting to go back and see, for me at least, to see what they were doing while we were reading the forums, wondering what's going on.
Yeah, definitely be able to see all the stuff happening and all the drama and all that crap.
With all the recent, beta activity, especially, within the past 24 hours, I don't know, have you seen you've seen all the leaks and all that stuff, right?
I have.
So, yeah, with all the leaks and, the family and friends beta, I guess I'm saying it's very possible that we could see a beta begin, next week, even as early as Tuesday. Or this week, rather.
That is possible. It's pretty confusing, though, the way everything went down, because, you see the people, or there was a person posting on the beta feedback forums, and then somebody posted about it on the general forum. And so both of those topics were deleted. And then...
Did you get a chance to read, what the...
Yeah, it was some error for logging in, and so he was obviously the only person who posted it. Yeah. So it
So
could mean
obviously
that
he
he
would
was
have to
trying
have-
to log in and the server wasn't up. So he has the beta client. That's that much is sure.
Right. Yeah, that's
And
interesting.
we've also gotten mixed signals from these community managers. Like there's, I believe it was a Korean one, and someone said a Russian one. I haven't seen the Russian post. That both of them said that the Friends and Family beta for North America has started. And then you got people like Bashiok saying that it hasn't, and then he will let us know as soon as it starts. And then they eventually came out, the Korean guy anyways, eventually said that he apologized for the misinterpretation and that it has not started. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of confusion going around and people with tinfoil hats and all that.
I feel like, yeah, it's probably come out. I don't even understand why they would need to announce it to us that the friends and family part has come out, you know? I don't even see, why would they go out of their way to, say, hey, our friends and families are playing the beta right now.
Well, it lets us know that they're at least making progress with it and that it's up and that it's coming soon.
Well, let's look at what we know. Originally, Jay Wilson, the head honcho of the D3 development team, he said the beta would be out by September. But, however, that was quickly corrected by Bashiok, who basically, handles most of the PR for D3. And he said they would try to release it in August, but it would most likely be by September. So we know all along that they were targeting, Q3 beta test. And it was confirmed, that at the latest it would be in September. I think with all that being said, I think it's highly likely, especially with all the leaks we're seeing, in particular, that one from the previous game tester. Another thing I was thinking about is, he doesn't work there anymore, so I would even go as far as say, is it a possibility that, they hired the testers for the in-house and, maybe they're sort of done with that portion, so they kind of let those guys go, and then maybe they're ready to move on to the public beta. Do you think that's
it's
something
possible? I actually test Xboxes for my job, and the way the work happens is that my higher-ups are given all these contracts that they need to fulfill, so they hire on all these people, and there's usually this flood of work, and they have, double shifts available, all that, overtime. And then in, a month or two after that, there's no work at all, you can't find any with them. And so, I'm assuming that it was back in March, because that's when it said people were talking about this guy, and that's when he last worked at Blizzard. So, they were talking about him being back in March and taking these screenshots with him when he left. But if you look at the Fraps video, I believe that's what the title was for the video that he put up. It was dated for the date that the video went up. So it's a little confusing there. I mean, it could all just be modified to make it look that way, but it's not really sure.
Yeah, and that's why I said that. I don't know, a huge deal about the whole beta process and all that, but I work at retail at the mall, and it's the same thing. During holiday we have this huge influx of workers, so I was thinking, maybe it's just the same thing applies to, with the game testers. Now that they've done their in-house testing, maybe he was let go, so we could take that as a sign of the beta is very close, and they're ready to go public with it.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of testing work is usually temporary and all that.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess so. In my opinion, it's very likely, that we will see the media. I think we'll see at least the media get into the beta, maybe starting Tuesday or something, and then hopefully the public beta will come out the week after that. And right, and also I just wanted to remind all the listeners and everything that we'll know that Blizzard will announce to us that when the beta is released. So don't be clicking on any emails or trying to download anything. Everything with Blizzard that has to do with the beta is going to go through your Battle.net account. So don't be doing that. So don't say I didn't warn you.
With the previous StarCraft beta, they just sent you an email saying, "Hey, you got in the beta. Check out your Battle.net account. Don't ever click a link in an email."
Right. Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk recently on the forums about the Demon Hunter resource system. I think it's kind of a iffy topic, but whatever. Basically, what it boils down to is people were not so happy with the colors of the resources. They don't feel light and dark enough. They don't really fit that theme. So, making the colors of the resource system resemble more of a light-dark theme, that would be an effective use of Blizzard's time.
I don't think so, because right now, the Zarum community manager, he put this huge wall of words up of why the colors are the way they are, and it makes total sense. I mean, if it's black and white, the white is going to contrast the white, or the black, too much, so you can't really see that in your peripheral vision. But the way it is now, you can monitor both of them without taking your eyes off the action that's currently going on. So you can pay more attention to monster positions and environmental hazards and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I think that the colors change would, like, going to more like light, dark, good versus evil thing. I would definitely be in favor of that. Like the red, I think is like a red and a blue color. It doesn't really feel. It doesn't really. I don't think it does the class justice. However, with that being said, I don't think it should be at the expense of the beta. Like, I feel like it should be done, something that should be done when the beta is coming to an end, and when the release is on the horizon, and all the bugs and all the issues have been taken care of.
But the problem with the whole light and dark is if one's too light, it's gonna be too. It's gonna sit out too much against the contrast of the darker one. So the way they got it now, they're both sort of the same hue, so that you can see them both moving at the same time and keep up with that. And even then, I don't think the Demon Hunter is more of a light versus dark type character. They're more of a dark versus dark, because they got the hatred and discipline going on, where it's really just kill stuff. They don't care about doing it the right way, they just want to kill it.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, though. They have to have, discipline, I guess you could say, the light side. They have to have a certain amount of discipline so that dark side, I guess, doesn't overcome them.
Right, definitely.
But you could do something else than the standard red or blue.
Yeah, you can definitely experiment around with it. But I'm fine with it the way it is. I don't really plan on playing a Demon Hunter too much, actually.
Yeah, I don't either, but it's just something I think should be changed, but we'll see. Do you see the difficulty in Diablo 3 increasing at all?
Definitely. I definitely see it moving up there. Like, the step in Diablo 2 between, like, normal and nightmare, when you got out there, you just started getting hit way too hard and you weren't doing enough damage. So usually I had to spend a couple extra runs in normal getting those items to help you survive and build up some extra resistances, so that way you can make it through nightmare. And then it's even worse from nightmare to hell, because you're just getting wrecked. Especially when you're alone, you run into monsters that have immunities to everything, and it gets really old really fast. You usually want a friend there that helps, complement your playstyle and all that, so you can take out these monsters together without just getting straight up overwhelmed by them. So, and especially adding Inferno difficulty, it's going to add a lot of stuff, like harder hitting monsters, more monsters, all that kind of stuff.
Towards the end game, I think the difficulty is going to be a lot harder, but I think through normal, nightmare, and hell, I don't see it being difficult at all. I see normal, nightmare, hell. I feel like it's going to be like a walkthrough, because how Blizzard, they're beginning, or they have been, they're taking a more casual approach on pretty much all their games. So I feel like through normal, nightmare, and hell, it's just going to be, pretty much just like a cakewalk. And if not a cakewalk, maybe like one or two challenges here, maybe the last boss of hell will be challenging. I mean, who knows? But I don't feel like there's gonna be a very little difference between those three settings. And then, I mean, they may as well just be the same setting. And I don't think we'll see the a jump in difficulty until we reach the end game and Inferno. But I do think, and I'm hoping, Inferno is going to be really hard, and it's going to be a huge challenge.
Right. Well, some of the things they could do is change difficulty to the point where you have to stop and assess the situation a lot more and be more careful as to, just leap attack in and start swinging where you would get overwhelmed and stuff like that. You can see they definitely are having fun with these new monsters with all these complementary styles. You have the skeleton shieldmen that, are up front with shields, and you got archers in the back that you have to take out before you just get hit by so many arrows that you end up going down. And then you have to get to the point where you make them drop their shields before you can hit them. And I'm assuming we're going to be able to see a lot of stuff like that we're going to have to think about the situation just on the fly and deal with it.
Alright, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. I want to remind everyone to Please hit the subscribe button. We want to continue providing our listeners with commentary, and for that, one needs subscribers. Alright folks, this is Flusher and Martyr signing off. See you.